Welcome to Switch's 5th annual Freedom Gala. My name is Zaina Green, and I'm the Executive Director at Switch. We are thrilled that you have joined us tonight for this event. Tonight, you're going to hear so many stories of success, testimonies from women we work with, and we know that many of you may be joining us tonight from different places. You may not know anything about the work of Switch. Some of you may even be in different states, but we welcome you tonight. We are excited that you're here, and we hope that you connect with us in the fight against human trafficking, because this issue affects everyone. Tonight, we only ask for about 30 minutes of your time. We don't want to spend too much time tonight, but we want you to hear the victories and successes of what is happening here at Switch. As you are watching tonight, we ask that you share this on social media platforms. We want you to use 2 hashtags, Switch Freedom Gala 2020 and Switch Ignite the Night. We also have a silent auction going on tonight, and just think of things like Christmas or 2021 vacations. We have so many things on that silent auction platform that we hope you connect with tonight. All throughout the night, you're going to see information at the bottom of your screen on how you can give. Whether you're a one-time donor or a monthly partner, we want you to join us in the fight against trafficking here in the Upstate. Switch's mission is to end human trafficking and sexual exploitation in the Upstate of South Carolina. We do this with a proactive and reactive approach. We know it's important that we are proactively getting ahead of this fight, so we do a lot of education in our community to bring awareness to our community members, letting them know what human trafficking looks like here in the Upstate of South Carolina. We also are doing prevention work, knowing that a vulnerable recruitment age is between 12 and 18 years old. We are teaching youth and college students what tactics traffickers are using for recruitment and what to do if they think they are in a situation they need help in. With our intervention program, we are meeting women in different places where we know they are vulnerable to becoming trafficked or already are being trafficked. We are in 3 different detention centers in the Upstate, homeless shelters, youth drop-in centers, and strip clubs, meeting women and building rapport with them and letting them know that if they are currently being trafficked or if they might be recruited, what they can do and what choices they have to get out of that lifestyle. And finally, our restoration program. When women are ready to make the brave decision to leave the life of trafficking and exploitation and take control of their lives again, we want to walk alongside them, and we provide choices, options, and support as they walk out their journey of restoration. Just as we've had to make a switch from an in-person gala to a virtual one, we at Switch have had to do many pivots this year. I'm incredibly thankful for our staff, who has been very innovative in finding new ways to meet with the women that we serve and continue to fulfill the mission of Switch. I'm thankful for our board of directors, who've had to make lots of decisions this year through a very challenging time. And most importantly, I just want to recognize the women that we serve. They are the true heroes. In the midst of a global pandemic, as you can imagine, it was very difficult for them, and they had to overcome so many difficult circumstances. They have been successful. We have seen so many victories this year, and just to name a few, we have seen women who have gotten jobs in the middle of this pandemic. We've seen women who have completed recovery programs. We even had one woman who had a baby and another who was baptized. We are seeing success at Switch. 2020 might have been a weird year, but it definitely was a successful one, and I can't wait to share more with you. So now I want to share a story with you of a brave woman who's come through our program and now serves on the board of directors at Switch. Take a look.
My childhood was pretty typical in many ways. I was born and raised on the coast of South Florida. I had 2 amazing parents doing their best to love and support their girls, raising us in love and in the church. I was charismatic, outgoing, silly, and I adored my dad in sports. Somewhere during elementary school, I was sexually violated by someone unrelated to family, which certainly set me up for challenges later in life. Had this not happened, what I am about to tell you would not have happened. I acted out, struggled in school, and was quickly labeled bad by family, peers, and teachers. By 2nd grade, I was diagnosed with ADHD and put on Ritalin up until middle school. This drug completely dimmed my once very bright spirit. I wasn't able to interact, eat, laugh, conversate. I was a mute. But I was focused, I did better in school, and was no longer flipping desks in empty classrooms and fighting with others. In middle school, I began smoking weed, and in high school, I added Xanax and alcohol to my numbing remedies. In 2002, my parents moved our family to upstate South Carolina, and I quickly made my way to the nearest coast. I was on my own at 17, and it was a very vulnerable time for me when I met my soon-to-be boyfriend, 34-year-old, let's call him W. I was introduced to this man through my restaurant friends. He was the cool guy that came around, the friend with all the money, introducing us kids to the fast life, new drugs, and driving us all around in his luxury cars. He proudly owned what I learned to be a massage business right in the center of town where gentlemen could get a full body massage. I had no idea things like this existed. He never once wanted me to work there. He wanted me to be his girlfriend. This is where the grooming began. My addiction became greater and I became more reliable upon W. I was being fed drugs, I was wined and dined, given endless shopping privileges and a brand new Lexus. It was a transition that seemed to make sense at the time. I became friendly with the girls that worked there and quickly learned about the very disturbing things he was doing while I was away. He was a drug-fueled sex addict who did much more than just sell and exploit these young girls. I grew angry instead of her and decided to take control myself. W's black book read like a who's who in Charleston. I've made personal connections with a couple of high-profile clients and was able to support my unhealthy habits. After much trauma, I began using opiates and I overdosed in 2007. I was in ICU on life support, dialysis, and also had chest tubes put in to drain blood from my lungs. My family was distraught and I will never forget the pain that I caused them during this time. It was a miracle for sure. I made it. I stayed off drugs for 5 years until 2013 when I relapsed. This is the chapter in my life when I was at my worst, but you could believe that God was right alongside me. I linked up with a very bad man from my past. He beat me several times, once so severely I was unrecognizable. I made it away from him for a while and got my dog Magic. I didn't know it yet, but this little pug would be my motivation for staying clean. There were several more overdoses before the final one that brought me out of that life for good. I was given bad heroin, I turned blue and was given CPR by my roommate. He placed me on the couch to sleep it off, but I ended up aspirating and woke up with pneumonia, which was so painful, and I also had no vision and no hearing. I was taken to the ER and given Narcan, an opiate reversal drug. I slept for hours and woke up with my senses back intact. Thank God. For the first time in 15 years, I was able to see my life with new eyes. After the hospital, I opened the door to my room and I dropped to my knees. It was pure filth I was living in and surrounding myself with. All of a sudden, I couldn't believe this was my life, and I wanted out. I cried out to God and begged him to rescue me, and he did more than that. I called my sister in Greenville and she came and picked me up as long as I promised to go to treatment. Shannon was friends with a volunteer from Switch, and she helped me to understand that what I had gone through was called survival trafficking. She told me about Switch and what they could do for me, and I agreed to let them help. Upon our first meeting, I was anxious and scared about this huge lifestyle change, but I was so warmly welcomed by the staff, one of which was also a survivor. They spent hours for me making phone calls, trying to find a rehab that would take Magic, and because I was not going without him. But Switch was determined to help. I was placed in a drug rehab for an intensive 30-day program, and then moved to Charlotte, where I stayed 6 months in a faith-based restoration home. This is where I gave my life to Christ and when he entered my heart. And this is where everything completely changed within me, where the true transformation began. I was full of joy. Everything was brighter and more beautiful, the skies, the trees. I was constantly being reminded of my worth and how much I was loved. I'd hoped for the first time in my life. After the program, I moved home with my family and was able to let them get to know a brand new me. God restored my relationships with my parents and my sisters. It took a long time, but their trust in me grew when they realized this new Logan was here to stay. My transformation has actually led each of them closer to God. That's just one way God has turned my story around for his good. Today, I am able to be the best dog mom on the planet, an honest and loyal friend, daughter, and sister. I'm involved in 2 churches and also serve on the board of directors for Switch, and I'm able to give back to the organization that saved my life. I am beyond set free from my past. Those chains are broken, and I can live a joyful new life full of love and hope. I live each day with a grateful heart.
Isn't that story powerful? God is a God of restoration. And as you can hear in Logan's story, there was a moment in the darkness where the light turned on and she saw the opportunity for change. That is what Switch is all about. We are walking alongside and empowering brave survivors to make choices to transform their life. And you get to be a part of that. Our next story is from a volunteer named Grace. At Switch, we have over 125 volunteers serving in all our different programs. Grace is an Oasis mentor who works directly with our participants to walk alongside their restoration journey. Check out this video.
Oasis is a volunteer mentor initiative that is part of the restoration program at Switch. This is where participants, or women who want to get out of the life of trafficking and sexual exploitation, are matched with a volunteer who is a support person and friend to them while they are part of the restoration program. Why is it called Oasis? The definition of oasis is a fertile spot in a desert where water is found, a pleasant or peaceful area or period in the midst of a difficult, troubled, or hectic place or situation. Psalm 107:35 says, "He turned the desert into pools of water and parched ground into flowing springs. There he brought the hungry to live, and they founded a city where they could settle." As is reflected in Scripture and through the heart of Jesus, relationships are the most important thing. This is what Oasis is all about and what makes it different, prioritizing healthy relationships among the participants as well as volunteers. Healthy relationships are vital in the restoration process. Thus, we as volunteers get the opportunity to walk alongside of them, do fun things with them, teach them healthy boundaries, and be a good sounding board as they continue their brave fight. The main difference between Oasis and other programs is the gospel-centeredness. Oasis mentors try to embody what Jesus embodied and walk alongside the women and meet them where they are, not condemning them for what they have experienced or are experiencing, but offering hope and love through how we interact and support them. Ever since I learned about sex trafficking, especially the prevalence of it in our modern-day society, it irked me and made me really mad. It's been on my heart ever since college, and it wasn't until a few years ago when I had a little more flexibility in my schedule that I was able to be a part of an organization that is helping fight the good fight to end sex trafficking. I have a longing in my heart to continue to see the work of the gospel redeem people's lives and see the light overcome the darkness. Switch is doing an amazing job at supporting these women as well as volunteers. I believe my role makes a difference by being a consistent support person, being the constant when everything around them changes. While this doesn't always feel like I'm doing anything, what our care coordinators and staff continue to remind me is that consistency is an incredibly valuable way to love these women, because oftentimes there's not a constant person in their life who will love and care for them no matter what. Thus, I trust and believe being the constant in their life can make a huge difference in the restoration process. It's been difficult not being able to know everything my participant is up to, feeling and thinking about, wanting to help but not always being able to help the way I think. My reaction is to help in tangible ways. However, that can be harmful in this type of relationship. The women are often used to receiving things and having to give something in return. Thus, it can be harmful for us to always give them gifts. In their mind, they may think that when we give them something, we now have power over them, which in their experience tends to mean something very negative. Thus, it has been challenging for me to learn other ways to love and support someone that feels different than what I'm used to. My favorite experience has been the recognition ceremony. Before I was matched with the participant, I got to be a part of the sweet night where Switch honored the participants. It was a night of food, awards for each participant and the progress that they had made, as well as fun and dancing. It was such a sweet night to see the women light up and just enjoy themselves and be recognized for all that they had accomplished. I've seen God work in the hearts of women who have experienced unimaginable hurt and trauma, giving them courage and hope to keep fighting for restoration. The people and hearing stories like Amy's keep me involved. Amy is an African-American lady in her 40s and is a grandmother. She has been with us since 2016 and came to us in a trafficking relationship in which she had been beaten many times. She's had many highs and lows since we have known her. She went to a restoration home in 2018 and was doing great until she relapsed. She returned to the area and was back in the life and using drugs. She reached out to us in March of this year and wanted help again. The pandemic had just started and her intake had to be done over the phone. She had to stop the intake because she said she had to go turn a trick to pay rent that night. She asked if it would get her kicked out of the program, and our clinical director told her that it would not and to give her a call the next day. From that point on, we prayed with her daily for a detox to open. She would be discouraged, we would continue to pray. She would grow in her trust of the Lord and say that she knew He had a plan for her. She eventually got accepted into a recovery program and is now a leader in that program. In the span of 6 months, she is now leading other women in their recovery and volunteering at a local Switch partner site. When asked why she wants to do this, she said it was because she wants to give back because people have given so much to her. And now she has a dream of finishing this recovery program and going back to school to be a social worker.
God is a God of restoration. As you heard in her story, in the midst of the darkest moment, light was turned on and her life was transformed. She made the brave choice to change her life and take control of her circumstances. That's what Switch is all about, empowering survivors with tools they need to restore their lives. And you get to be a part of that. If at any point tonight you feel led to give, the information is at the bottom of the screen. Whether you visit our website or text to give, we invite you to be a part of lives being transformed. Our next story is an incredible woman that I've had the privilege to know for many years. Let me introduce you to Ruth.
My name is Ruth, and I am here today to shine the light into the darkness, to bring honor, glory, and praise to the one who rescued me, Jesus. Switch was the key that Jesus used to turn on the light in my sick and twisted dark world on January the 18th of 2015. Jesus picked me up out of the pit of despair and settled my feet on the rock. You may look at me today and think that I am a victim, a product of my circumstances, or that I am the choices that I made. I am here to tell you I am no longer a victim. I am a victorious overcomer, and I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. I have been transformed into a new creation only by the grace of God and the blood of Jesus Christ. My mother left my father when I was only 5 and remarried. They raised me and my siblings conservative Christian, but the web of lies I believed about myself were already growing rapidly. My father was a child molester who hid behind being a preacher for many years. Growing up, it all stayed hidden, pushed down and covered up. I thought I was a good kid growing up. I tried to stay out of trouble and not rock the boat. I graduated in the top 10% of my high school class, yet I still ended up living in dysfunction for 20 years. People-pleasing became a way of life. I wanted to feel loved and to not feel the pain I carried deeply buried inside. It began with me giving away my body for attention and some feeling of love, even if it was twisted. In my first relationship with a man, my desire to please him brought pornography and bisexuality into my life. When that ended years later, I was left broken and lonely. I began going from relationship to relationship, looking for a man to rescue me. I found myself repeatedly in situations where I felt there was no way out. When these times came, I would find myself trading my body not only for attention, but also for money, drugs, and basic needs. I tried to hide this part of myself, acting like it never happened, but the cycle continued to come and go. I went through many traumas such as rape, being held against my will, and running from the police. I allowed others to control me, manipulate me, and use me. I learned how to do the same to others. I tortured myself because I did not think I was worth any better. It was a divine appointment the day my sister met a lady who worked with Switch. This was truly God preparing the way for me and putting people in just the right place to be able to help me. a 2-time felon, sex trafficking, drug dealing, needle junkie are all words that described my actions. I would not have told you that then because I was in denial. Switch did not see me that way, and they helped me come out of denial and admit what I was doing so that I could change. This was a long process, and I had to walk through a lot of inner healing before I could truly identify myself as a survivor of trafficking. I thought that life was what I was made for, until God showed me my worth. Switch helped me to see that I had the power to choose freedom. I am so grateful that now I am a loving, faithful wife, a hardworking, full-time employee, and I am fully pardoned. I am spreading hope and joy, depending on Jesus and others to walk beside me through the good and bad, and helping others to walk into the light with Jesus through several ministries that I am a part of. The women at Switch and those who support Switch truly were the hands and feet of Jesus to me, and it gave me an experience with Jesus pulling me out of the darkness and helped me to find relationship with God. They helped me get into a rehab where my basic needs were met, and I was able to step out of a victim and survival mentality. I was able to let go of control, and I surrendered to Jesus. I needed help, and I trusted that God would direct the ladies at Switch. I began to heal as the women loved on me and guided me at Shalom House Ministries, the rehab Switch sent me to. I think if Switch had not helped me, I would have gone back to the life because I was rejected by several rehabs due to the medication still showing in my system. I do not think I could have taken that rejection alone in the state I was in. Complete strangers loved me enough to pour into me. It blew my mind that they paid for me to go to rehab. I learned how to take my thoughts captive and bring them to the obedience of Christ by speaking out the word of God when I had a negative or painful thought. God used his word to renew my mind, and he has healed me mentally, physically, and spiritually. The ladies of Switch have continued to love on me and support me and reach out to me in so many different ways through my healing journey, offering counseling and support and helping me to find opportunities to give back. Deuteronomy 31 says, "So be strong and courageous. Do not panic before them, for the Lord your God will personally go ahead of you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you." Let this be our anthem, and let us rise up, and let us help the one God puts in front of us, and let's shine the light into the darkness. Through helping Switch, you can change a life forever.
Help the one in front of you. What would it look like if we all helped the one in front of us? You see, I love Ruth's story because it shows the power of us helping the one in front of us. You see, at Switch, we are truly partnering with the Lord for women to regain who they were created to be. You see, God's plan was never for trafficking. It was never for exploitation, and it never was for abuse. And so at Switch, we're co-laboring with him to see lives transformed to who he intended them to be. Ruth mentioned in her story that she couldn't believe a stranger paid for her to go to drug recovery, because traffickers use drugs as a means of coercion, and drugs are also a great way to cope through a lot of trauma. Drug recovery is not cheap. It costs about $2,000 per woman per month to go through a drug recovery program. Trauma counseling costs $120 a session. This would not be possible if it wasn't for donors like you partnering with us to see lives change, like Ruth's or Amy's or Logan's. I know many of you want to make a difference in the fight against human trafficking. I know you care about making changes in our community. And for so many, this seems so dark and hideous, you don't know where to start. But I'm inviting you tonight to be a part of change. I'm inviting you to make a difference for the next person's story. What you give tonight and how you partner with Switch in the future truly will change lives, and you have the privilege to be a part of that story. If we all bring what we have to the table, we can create a new reality for trafficking survivors. One where they are no longer overlooked, they are no longer misunderstood, that they now have tools to change their lives and see the transforming power of God in their lives. Our participants are changing their lives. They are regaining hope, and it is because of you that that is possible. So tonight, I urge you to prayerfully give. I urge you to consider, how can you be a part of this fight against human trafficking here in the Upstate? We have many options of how you can give to Switch, whether you want to be a one-time partner or a monthly donor as a part of our Illuminate Club. You may be a part of a church who might be considering partnering with us, or part of a business who wants to become a corporate sponsor of Switch. Tonight is the night to give. Tonight is the night that you get to change lives. Tonight is the night that you get to be a part of the next story.
Oh God, my shepherd, I have all I need. Here in the meadows, guide me by your peace. Oh God, my shepherd, I have all I need. Here in the meadows, I know that you are good. You're good, you're good to me. I know that you are good, you're good, you're good to me. I know that you are good, you're good.
Mark your calendars for November 19th, 2021 for our in-person 6th annual Freedom Gala. Our keynote speaker is Benjamin Nolo. Benjamin is the CEO and founder of Exodus Cry. Exodus Cry is an incredible organization that is based in LA, and they are doing great work in the fight against human trafficking. They truly are making a difference, not just locally, but globally in the fight, and we can't wait for you to hear from him.
Hey everyone, I am so sorry that I could not be there with you this year for the Switch Gala in light of the COVID-19, but I want to encourage you guys to remain engaged in this fight. I'm so encouraged by everything that you're doing, and I'm looking forward to next year coming to be with you guys in person in South Carolina on November 19th, 2021 for the Switch Gala. So I will look forward to seeing you guys then. Thank you.
I want to thank our title sponsor, Bentime, and our marketing partner, Peculiar. We could not have done this event without you. Remember to get your last-minute bids in for the silent auction. It ends at 10 p.m. tonight. We hope tonight sparked something in your hearts, that it ignited a fire on how you can get involved in the fight against human trafficking here in the Upstate.
I know that